You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast. Hello, welcome to Pointing Pointers. I'm Ben Atkins. This is episode 7, and Sam Davies Thomas is alongside me as ever. Sam, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ben. We're completely different shades of colour, aren't we? You need to go and put a bit of foundation on. You're looking a bit pale. You've had so much sun recently, or you need a holiday. That's what you need.
Yeah, it's the lighting of the room.
It's that light you've got behind you, isn't it?
I haven't got it quite right. Oh, yeah. Sam, this runs the risk of being a slightly boring episode off the back of having Nick look on the last one, but we have got, in real terms, plenty to get stuck into. A lot of racing, a lot of discussion points, and I can sense that you are revved.
Oh, I'm revved. Lots of racing been going on since we last spoke. It's been a struggle to keep up with it. But we'll get in there, and I'm sure everyone's been having a good couple of weeks.
What do you mean? What do you mean everyone's been having a good couple of weeks?
Well, go racing, mate. What do you think?
Well, that just sounded a bit token. Just sounded like a throwaway cliche comment, like you were perhaps reading something else on your screen and related to the podcast. That was all.
Right. Sorry, I'll close that. I best concentrate.
I know you so well.
That hinge is always getting the better of me, you know.
One day, Rodney. Firstly, I think we should touch on some stuff away from the racing. Then we'll get stuck into the racing. Then we're going to speak to Christie Furness, who we've not had on this show before. We've got voice notes from all and sundry all over the country, Sam. But the sales ring first. What's been happening out there?
Yeah, so we had the sales last week. Wasn't a massive entry, but obviously the Hill horse that won it down south, he went, but unfortunately didn't make his reserve, so he'll be staying in training with Annan and Lorney Hill for Jake Exelby. So he'll be exciting to see how he goes on.
Yeah, totally. Well, I was almost kind of surprised by that because I don't know what they paid for him, obviously, but it depends what you're in the game for, I suppose. But I thought it was fairly strong money for a British pointer, if you take that as an average. You decide what you walk away at, and if it doesn't meet that, then crack on. So
maybe they didn't have many intentions to actually sell him. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they said, "Oh, if we get this, we'll sell him. If not, we'll keep him going." So looks like that's what they've done, and yeah,
all power to them, I suppose. So since the last pod, we've been winding each other up something chronic on the old blower, and I seem to remember that Kim Bailey's had wound you up a bit, has he, Sam?
He actually wound me up today on Nick Luck's, our good friend of the pod, Nick Luck, if you've heard of him. I don't know if you've met him. He's talking today on Nick Luck's podcast about some of his horses for the festival, and he said, he decided to run in the Ultimate, which is a handicap, obviously, instead of the National Hunt Chase, which is for amateurs. And his reasoning behind it was that he wouldn't be able to find a good enough Irish jockey to ride his horses. And to me, as an English trainer, he probably, I hope he does listen to this podcast, but I doubt he will. But if someone does, please tell him my thoughts. But I think Kim, absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. There's plenty of good jockeys in this country, and English trainers like him should be supporting him. The likes of Derek O'Connor, genius, Jamie Codd, genius, but their days are behind them, unfortunately. And there's plenty of lads over here that are well capable of riding races like that. And to him to go and say that, I thought was very disrespectful and out of order. He should have said the horse is better suited in a handicap than the National Hunt Chase, instead of going and saying that, because it doesn't do much for the amateurs. And I wasn't very happy.
What else has been winding you up, Sam? Anything? It's all been a bit tame recently.
Well, a couple of weeks ago. So we'll go back to Revesby. So we had a bit of stellar weather, didn't we? So that was that. Revesby Point to Points was supposed to be on the Sunday. Was postponed till it was meant to be on the Saturday. Sorry, was then postponed to the Sunday. And then when they realising that wasn't able, it was then abandoned totally. Instead of moving to the following week, where it could have moved to the Saturday. which had been the same day as Lark Hill, just gone, which is what Lark Hill did. Moved. It wasn't a great entry, but the racing was able to go ahead. They got paying customers, and the racing was going ahead. For point to point site, Reesby point to point, I think, a one-off meeting of the year, the amount of work that goes into it, a new course. I think areas should be supporting small courses like that. Otherwise, pointing's just going to, the small courses are going to be gone. We were stuck with the courses that have 4 or 5 meetings, and then eventually they'll be gone as well. So it was disappointing to see Reesby couldn't be organised, rearranged. I think from what I heard, there's one speculation. There's a rule that you can only move a point to point or a race meeting once. So if that was the case, Reesby should have been advised to move it to next Saturday straight away instead of moving it to Sunday and then try and move it to Saturday. But to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, what does it matter? Just use your initiative and get it moved to a day where it can be on. Another talking point was, the area chairman, so to speak, decided that they didn't want to run Reesby the week before Garthorpe because it's a premier meeting. It's got 4 or 5 meetings. Fantastic, good point-to-point course. Yeah, I agree. But to say that that's a reason you can't move a course in your area to a week before that is absolutely ridiculous. And I just thought the way it was handled was completely wrong. People in this sport don't use their initiative. And it's just completely done all wrong, and the area should not be deciding when they can or when they can have meetings. So I'm going on. It really bugged me.
Yeah, I like Angry Sam.
Yeah, it be all handled all wrong by the people at the top, to be honest. And it was all done for the wrong reasons. Reesby should have took place on Saturday when Lark Hill was on, and then everyone would have been happy. If they wanted to run, great. If not, never mind. But at least Reesby was on, paying customers. Done. Okay.
Yeah, well, fair enough, Sam. You're throwing a few theories out there, and
anything to say?
Plenty.
Well,
but I've got a vested interest, haven't I? In the sense that I'm not getting splinters from sitting on the fence, but I've got a vested interest in. I know a lot. I'm friendly with a lot of the people that put a lot of hard work into putting that particular race meeting on, and there were some very disappointed people. And I agree. It does seem to be the smaller tracks in the less popular places, shall we say, that get the rough ride. And it doesn't seem fair. We've kind of done this in reverse. We've done any of the business at the start, but is there any other things that you want to get off your chest before we whiz through last week's racing and look at next week's?
No. I think we can crack on into next week. Championship standings really. Men's title. Interesting.
Yes. So I went on the standings on the website, and it says up to the 21st, right? So, and it says in the standings that James King had 16, and then I text James because I just couldn't be asked basically to count the winners he'd had since. I'm confused with days at the best of times. So I text James and said, James, how many winners have you in this season? He said 17. Now
17's correct.
Right. But if you count up to the 21st, there's 16 on the website, then he's ridden a treble and a double since. So how's he only on 17?
Maybe the website must be wrong then, because he's ridden 17 winners.
But is James wrong, or are they both wrong? Is it because I told him point to point? I asked him point to point only. So maybe, I don't know. Anyway, as you can tell, the guys are doing a great job of informing you of who's winning the men's title. But it's all for naught, Sam, this conjecture, because he is streaking away with it, basically. And Biddick is giving it a good go in behind him, and probably within catching distance for sure, depending on what happens from here on in. But James is absolutely nailing it at the minute, it's fair to say.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Comley's show goes on, and he had a winner for Luke Price, which is probably an early winner for Luke at Cockleborough. But yeah, I made it 17 for James to Biddick's 12, and then Ed Vaughan on 6. Actually from Jumping for Fun site, and they are on the money most of the time. The boys on that.
Shout out to Gordon and the Massive.
Yes.
Speaking of which, you just reminded me. Hannah Roach has trained a winner in a hunter chase. Time leader hits the back of the net and backed as if it would win. Now Maxwell's horse was backed probably because everyone who is a kind of casual punter who doesn't really pay any attention to hunter chases, just saw Maxwell's colours and thought that used to be trained by Nichols, that'll do, and piled in. But that was fairly short. Expected to do better than it had been. Time leader similarly short. Now halfway round, Maxwell's mount ran out, which was a shame to see. But nice view back time leader, which I hadn't. I was my money was on Zack Attack, and he did really well actually to get around second. But time leader wins. So it'd be interesting to see where that horse goes this season and where his ceiling might be. But
they also had a winner up at Alnwick in the bumper, Hannah Roach. Joe drove the lorry up there. And then down to Hereford yesterday, Monday 29th. Yeah, so it was good performance actually. I don't think the favourite would have beat him anyway, to be honest. I think he's smelt the donuts, the favourite, and off he went into Hereford. But there we go. No, good on Hannah to have another winner time leader. He looked at listening to Fitzy on Sky Sports Race. He looked at picture in the paddock. So credit to them, and it'll be exciting to see where he goes next.
So right, let's talk about some pointing that has happened. So we've had since the last pod, Larkhill, Alnwick, Milburn St Andrews, and Horseheath, and we've got a huge amount to start. So let's just go chronologically. So Cocklebarrow. I was saying the other day that Jon Barlow doesn't waste many darts, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, he threw one and won with one. That's all I'm saying. I do sometimes know what I'm talking about. And he texted me straight afterwards, actually, and said, "Hope you were on," which obviously I wasn't because I was in Lincolnshire. So Caballero Diablo won at Cocklebarrow, and I caught up with John shortly after to see what he thought.
Jon Barlow, I was only just saying the other day that you don't waste many darts, and you won with Caballero Diablo at Cocklebarrow this weekend at 12-1 in a huge field of 18 horses. You must be delighted.
Hi Ben. Yeah, absolutely delighted with Caballo Diablo yesterday at Cocklebarrow. Big field, 17 runners actually. I think they said it was the biggest field since 2016, so that's quite interesting. I thought he'd go well. Just sort of reading through last year's form when he went to Sheriff Hutton, finished second first time out behind Fascinating Rhythm of Easterby's, which looked a nice horse. Cullen Hills was back in third, and that won championship horse last year. I think he went on to win 7 races after that run. So I thought that form was pretty strong, and he was entitled to go close today. So absolutely delighted with him. And I think the next plan for him will be probably to go somewhere like Higham, carry a penalty and try and win another restricted with him. I think that track will suit him. That'll be the plan. Thank you very much.
So Sam, James King, we've given him enough praise already this season, but got the treble at Cocklebarrow as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, two from Max. James actually tipped up Wagner last before Cocklebarrow said he got a good chance. So that was good. And then 2 for Max. Oscar Montal winning the longer distance race again, Marathon Max, as he does. So that was another double for him. And then Mini Fortune, Jimmy won on for Luke Price, as I said earlier, probably early winner for Luke. So it's nice to see him on the score sheet already. Master Templar won the ladies' race, given a confident ride by Gina. Won well, actually. Looks like it's
not an easy horse. Not an easy horse. It ran out of the wheels.
Yeah, he's not. He looks like a horse that might actually be suited to these sorts of tests of stamina. You can keep taking a pull and keep kicking along, really. But no, that was good. And then Jack Wilmott, he's a real nice lad. Works for John O'Neill. He rode his first winner on the Composer, first point-to-point winner anyway, on the Composer for Jackie O'Neill. It was a PPORA race for novice riders, and I had a chat with him early on. I'm now joined by Jack Wilmott, who rode his first winner on the Composer in a PPORA conditions race for novice riders at Cocklebarrow, trained and owned by Jackie O'Neill. Jack works for John Joe O'Neill. I hope I'm correct in saying that, Jack. And great to get your first winner on the board. Been knocking on the door with him last couple of runs, but you must have been delighted to get his head in front at Cocklebarrow.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. Hope you're well. He's last season we had 2 good seconds. Runner and Doversford, bit of jockey error there, if I'm being honest, but definitely glad to get the season off to a good start anyway. A lot of hard work has paid off.
No, it must have been great, and a local point to you as well, obviously working at Jack Dawes, in front of all your friends and family, so it must have been a great day. Where are we likely to see him go next, do you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I went to Cocklebarrow a couple of years ago and thought it was a fantastic point to point, and it's definitely one of the bigger ones of the season, so it was great to get my name out there and have a winner there. You know, all the boys were there, my family come down, and my girlfriend, who helps me out a lot, she was leading me up as well, so it's kind of the perfect day really. And he's an entry for Garthorpe this weekend coming, put the entry in today, so fingers crossed we should run there, just assess how he is this week, and he's more than likely to run there, so I think we've entered in the conditions and the men's open, so just deciding what to run in, and fingers crossed for a nice run there.
Perfect. It's good to get him out so quick. And what about yourself? Where can you give us a bit of a background about yourself, how you got into racing, what you're doing this season, and some plans for the future?
Yeah, well, he come out of his race well, and I think it's always a good thing if your horse is well and everything's going okay, then might as well get him out again if he's all okay in himself. So hopefully he'll go there at the weekend. Yeah, my mum used to work in racing when she was a lot younger. Dad's a mechanic. I had ponies from about the age of 6, I think, just pony club, schools jumping, riding club, stuff like that. And, you know, watching the racing on the telly at a weekend, wanted to give that a go, and got into the pony racing when I was 10, I think, 10, 11-ish. Started off on the small ponies, worked my way up. Then when I needed to go to the biggest size of pony you can pony race on, which is the 148s, found a lovely pony called Istermouse, who Sarah Humphrey's son William, who now rides in America, he had her, and went down to try her out. Thought she was amazing, pony race with her, and Sarah actually said, you know, why don't you come down and ride out on a weekend? And I then started the FLP program at the British Racing School. You go in once a week, and my school was very good. I'd go to school Monday to Thursday in the racing school, Thursday, and ride out for Sarah Friday and Saturday, and that kind of worked its way into when I was 16. I went to work for Sarah full time, had 2 point-to-point rides for Sarah and her husband Tony, and I had a pointer called Ego de Mott, and he was a perfect schoolmaster for me first season, and worked with Sarah, worked for Sarah, and that was a wonderful partnership. I had 2 rides on the flat for her and a ride over jumps, which was actually my first ever winner at Market Raisin in an amateur race. At the same time, I was actually coming down to ride out for John Joe from about the age of 13, 14 for a few days at a time. And when I was 17, I was offered the place at John Joe's and moved down here, and it's all gone very smoothly. I've had 3 rides for the boss under rules, and they allowed me to have the composer to point, and he's been nothing but amazing so far. So, fingers crossed it just keeps getting better, and I'm now just one more ride away from being able to do my Category B licence, so try and get that sorted this season and ride as a Cat B for a while. I'd like to go conditional one day, but if I'm honest, I do struggle with my weight a little bit, and so if my weight allows it, then I'd love to go conditional, but if not, I'd just love to ride as a competitive category B. So that'd be the plan anyway. But no, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to John, Joe, and Jackie, and John, Janae, Jay, everybody at the yard. They're always so helpful, and anything you need, they're always there for you. And just thank you to anyone that's ever helped me. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely job. So down at Chipley Park, Biddick had a double, and but one notable winner for another young rider, Becky Pugh, won the novice riders. And actually, Sam, as you'll hear from my voice note, I thought she gave it a cracking ride, beating a recent winner, and just a really confident, cool ride to bring them out to the fore and win quite nicely in the end. So I caught up with Becky Pugh, and here it is now.
Becky Pugh, congratulations on winning the novice riders race down at Chipley the other day. Becky, I see that you do lots of other things with horses other than riding races, and I'm just wondering whether your eventing background and doing other things has really stood you in good stead when you've applied yourself on the racetrack. Just wondered what you thought about that. Congratulations again, and I'll speak to you soon.
Hi Ben, thank you. So I had quite a lot of experience eventing and show jumping before I started pointing. I was competing at intermediate level at that time. And they're two very different disciplines. Obviously racing is a lot faster, but eventing at that level, the cross-country fences are solid in height and width. So you've got to be decisive and accurate into a fence and often make things happen. So I suppose that is something that I've taken with me as I started pointing, and it helped a lot having that experience and being able to make a decision quickly and commit.
Yeah, great to catch up with her. Yeah, it was a bit of a actually looking at the schooling videos the next day. It was a bit of a minefield. A bit of a washout really the next day, but apparently it wasn't too bad. Although there was a few slow motion finishes. But I was impressed with Dunedin Island, who improved from a first start. Trained by Robert Chanin, the Chanin family, massive supporters of pointing. Got their fingers in lots of different areas, which is great. They won the Jockey Club Mares Maiden with Callum Pritchard on board, and I had a chat with Ian Chanin about this horse and the family kind of association with the sport. I'm now delighted to be joined by Ian Channing on Pointing Pointers. Ian, thanks very much for joining me this evening. Firstly, well done at the weekend. A great start to the season with Dunedin Island winning the Mares Maiden down at Chipley Park, what would look like a very testing conditions after I saw a few pictures of the schooling videos over the last couple of days. Was that expected? Obviously improved from the run in November. And can you tell me a bit about her?
Hi Sam, yeah, it's great to be on. The race day itself was actually fine. It was the overnight rain that turned the whole place to a mud pit, but it's great to be able to school there, and it's a great opportunity. Dunedin Island, she was very good, given a great ride by Callum Pritchard. So the first day we ran out great through 2.5 miles, a fairly reasonable ground, and the thing that happened that day was Tim Vaughan's runner, he was experienced, from France, bounced out, went very fast. The race was run at a very sharp tempo, and she could just never get into it. She was green and a bit of stage fright, but they went so fast, she never had a chance. And so we opted for a slower, stiffer track, and she could get into it this time. And we were delighted. It's the third winner Dad's trained from the family, I think, for 4 winners in total. I won on Bishop's Court, his maiden. He's now, was rated 145 at best. Malinas Island's also running on the rules at the moment. He's one to look out for. And for owner breeder Chris Torrey, it was a fantastic winner. And I think she'll go on. She stays very well, and so I think she's going to be one to watch.
That's great. It's always very rewarding to be, delivering with these homebreds, and it must give everyone a good bit of pleasure. As you obviously already alluded to, Callum Pritchard caught the eye of many, and he must be a great handy asset to have on the back of the horses. Before we start, really, just wanted to get a bit of a background about the family. People from Devon and Cornwall know about you. I know about you in the riding days, and if you can just give us a background of what the family setup is, and how you've all been involved throughout the years with point to point, and that would be great.
Yeah, so I rode, as did my dad, as did my brother, and actually my wife rode as well. And now she's a farrier, which is very handy. So Dad trains mostly for owner breeders and a few others, and I've got a few stores which I try and sort of win with and sell. An obvious example of that would be Tip Top Mountain. Of one is maiden at Weybridge. Of course, he's gone on to win 6 handicap chases since. Doc McCoy, he was an impressive winner of a Grade 2 maiden. He's won a novice hurdle for Jamie Snowden. And there's been a few others as well. We don't always have big budgets, but we look for an athletic horse. So that's what we do. We've got we work alongside each other. We've got a carpet school and a carpet gallop. And we train on the side of the X Valley. Dad's actually my uncle's clerk of the course for the local one, but my dad's the chairman of the local point-to-point at Dunsmore, which kicks off the season, or did last year anyway. And I had a second down there with Noble Don, who we sold at Chatham Sale the other day, actually. There's a few other horses. I've had a couple of seconds. Charlton Hawthorne last year with a 4-year-old called Older Burley. He's actually changed his name actually since then, bizarrely. He's called Another Folly. He's one to look out for actually when he goes over fences with a handicap mark. That's what we do, and that's what we're trying to do anyway.
Yeah, as you say, it's not all about a big budget with the stores, is it? It's about finding the right ones, and you've obviously been doing, as a family, going the right way and been finding the right sorts of horses. And as I said earlier about the homebreds, it's nice to keep it in-house within the family, and it's obviously something that you all do very well together, and that must give you a great joy when it does work out. I wanted to get your opinion, having been in the sport for a long time, the direction of pointing. Obviously, it's not hidden away that, sometimes we all think that, pointing's going the wrong direction. But as the season goes, I know we've had limited meetings with the frost and that and some cancellations, but point-to-points I've been to, I've thought it's been very competitive. There's been a big crowd. I think pointing so far this season's been great. I just wanted to get your opinion down in Devon and Cornwall, how it's been going down there, and any sort of gripes you want to get off your chest while you're on the podcast.
The racing is very good. It's very competitive. The races are hard to win. There's enough horses in Devon and Cornwall at the moment. I wouldn't say there's loads, but there's enough for when the ground is, good jumping ground, plenty of cut in the ground. There's enough runners. In times past, I've seen more, but there's definitely enough. I mean, the problem with Devon and Cornwall is that we haven't got many dry courses, so there aren't many meetings in January and February. I mean, what is there? There was in January there was supposed to be Weybridge, Buckfastleigh, and Chipley. As it was just Weybridge and Chipley, and then February you've got Buckfastleigh. That's the only one, isn't it? I think in February in Devon and Cornwall. So years ago when we had Black Forest Lodge, which obviously Dad was involved with, that was a wonderful dry course. It had 3 meetings early on. That was fantastic. But now we've sort of got loads of fixtures in Devon and Cornwall. And most of March, April and May, and it just gets very congested at the end, and obviously runners will be thin on the ground. But having said that, the crowds that time of year are massive. People, hunting and shooting and whatever's finished. So people go to the point to get on the beer and have a social. So those meetings always do well financially, even if the ground is quick enough, and the racing is pretty average. They're probably the most profitable meetings actually. The crowd at Chipley on Sunday was only okay. I thought the entry was really good, and actually the racing was really competitive. They had 7 races. The winner of the members race was probably rated 140 at best. And still quite a useful horse. So the races they're harder to win than ever. So you need to be fit. fit and well. And yeah, like I say, in Devon and Cornwall, we could just do with a few more drier tracks early on to get a bit more consistency to our fixture list, really. And like I say, I think the horse numbers they're okay without being exceptional. You know, everyone's got a few horses, and there's enough at the moment, but there's certainly not heaps of horses around. You know, it's expensive. And you know, if you want to give a horse a run in a point to point, you have to pay £300 for a hunter certificate before you can think about it. So that sort of element of it has never gone away, sadly. Even though you don't have to hunt your horse anymore, which is a shame. That genuine hunter that, you know, that's been hunting 5 or 6 times, that's sort of all gone, really. So yeah, we'll see what the season brings, but yeah, the horse numbers are just okay, but the quality's there. Certainly while the ground's good and there's plenty of moisture in the ground, the racing's going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, as you said, the quality of horse at the minute is still showing. So obviously we're recording on the 24th this weekend. Melbourne's got a great entry. Unfortunately, this podcast won't come out till next week, so we can't really talk about that now. But looking forward to the rest of the season, next few weeks. Have you got many horses to go at, and is there anything that our listeners need to be looking out for the rest of the season?
Well, we've got a couple of French horses that are pretty tasty. One we give a little pop to around Chipley the other day. He's called actually, I don't know what his name is, but he's by a stallion that's a bit strange, but he's from the family of Denim Red, who of course side Underso and Energumen. And there's no rush with him, actually. I don't know if he'd run this spring or next autumn, but he's fairly nice. And but there is one we'd run in a bumper, I think, at Lark Hill. King de Parma, another French bred, that he goes pretty well on the gallops. He looks like a fair animal, so we're pretty excited about him. And then there's a Black Sam Bellamy called Badby Rings, after the point-to-point course, because that's on Chris Torrey's farm, who bred him. Not sure exactly when he'll run, but he'll run in the coming weeks. And he was another one that had a little school around Shipley Park the other day and impressed. So we're looking forward to him. And you know, there's a few other youngsters there that might or might not run in the spring. You know, there's no rush. If they don't run until next autumn, then that's fine. You know, English point to pointing is starting to, you know, provide a better autumn programme than used to be the case in other years. So, you know, if you don't run in the spring, it's no problem. You can look at the autumn as well. So yes, stay tuned and fingers crossed.
You just reminded me about something. There's a schooling race happening on the 4th at Garthorpe. It is £75 a horse, and if you've got a horse that you want to school, but actually like in a race sort of situation, you'll remember I attended last year's, and it was good. It was good. I thought it was a good course to do it at, and yeah, you can now enter for that. So it's £75 on the 4th of February.
Yeah, good luck to them. £75. I don't know what school around Chipley Park was the day after, but I bet it wasn't £75.
Right. Well then, let's be having you. Do you think £75 and the chance to put your horse kind of in I don't know what? Right, you've ridden in these things. I haven't. What's the difference between a schooling race and schooling round with 2 or 3?
There's no difference really. You could go to Chipley Park and you could line up with 8 of you if you wanted, and then go from there. It's a great idea. I'm not knocking Garthorpe whatsoever, so I don't really want to say too much. But if you're doing that in a schooling race, you don't know who you're going to be lining up against. You want your horse to have the best experience possible. I know what I'd rather be doing with my 4-year-old. But for people who want to have experience, to kind of get the feel of racing, I think it's a good idea.
But Sam, right, I kind of understand what you're saying, because there are risks involved, and you can, I guess, if you go to a schooling day, you can run with against your own, and you can put the one that jumps like a fridge out the back and isn't going to bring everything else down, etc. And you kind of can control things a bit more. But so I've got 10% of a pointer that's in Ireland at the minute. But you didn't know that, lad, did you?
You run a English-based point-to-point podcast, and you have a pointer in Ireland. Good.
Well, it's as simple as this. I sold it privately and kept 10% in case she was a machine. And she's running like 4 or 5 schooling races before, and she hasn't made a debut yet. And I don't know. I just think if it becomes a thing that is more regular and more possible, and there's more people doing it, and it becomes more commonplace, I think it could benefit the sport massively and benefit the sales prices ultimately if horses are better prepped and there's more horses going into these young horse maidens and giving more kind of credibility to the good ones. I don't know, but that's my sense.
I'm with you, and that's how they've got to get around it, to have it on the same day as racing, I guess, for insurance purposes. So I'm not knocking it whatsoever.
And it's the ambulance and everything else. Anyway, we've covered enough about that. Let's go to Larkhill, where they enjoyed a Saturday all on its own. And Biddick replied to King's treble with one of his own. But James did have a double. But I'm forever talking about trebles and doubles. You must be bored of it by now. I thought Wolfwalker...
I didn't have too many myself, so I'm not that bored of it now.
Yeah, no. This is the thing. Like, it does become kind of commonplace for some of these top ranking jockeys.
Wolf Walker, Biddick's horse that won. We actually spoke to Chris Barber about him, didn't we? They spoke very highly of him. He went and won again. So we had a chat with Chris about him, and then obviously famous Claremont just 1 to 10 on. Shame he only had one rival to take on, but never mind. He's had a clear round. He's had a spin round. I'm sure they'll have some plans for him now.
Tom Skew trained his first winner, first training performance, and first training winner.
Yeah, it's nice. Tom started out in point to points. Obviously, then had a massive career under rules, and now he's come back. He's got the pre-training yard, the old yard of Michael Scudamore's. This is the only point to point he's got actually at the time they got sent him, and they felt it beneficial. He's only going to have one run. It's going to go into training under rules next season. But yeah, Colin Hobbs out of a good mare of Fergal's, Colin's sister, ridden by Ed Vaughan. And now I had a chat with Tom actually earlier in the week about the horse.
Delighted to be joined on Pointing Pointers by Tom Scudamore, who trained his very first winner yesterday with Colin Hobbs in the maiden at Larkhill, son of Jack Hobbs, out of the very useful mare Colin's sister, original name, I thought, Tom. Can you tell us a bit more about Colin Hobbs and your kind of involvement now with Point to Point, your new yard, and what your plans are for the season?
So I've set up a pre-training yard in Hereford, which was the yard that my brother used to train in, and I was very kindly sent Colin Hobbs, or Boris as we call him, back in November, and it just went from there. He started going quite nicely, and we thought about running him in a point to point, and so it proved. So we're very lucky to be sent him. Obviously, his page goes without saying. As you said, he's out of a very good mare in Colin's sister, who was fourth in the Stayers Hurdle behind Penn Hill, and his owners Richard Kent and Caroline Beresford-Wiley sent him to us to pre-train, and it just went from there. So it was really nice to have a pointer. I read a lot of pointing as a teenager before I turned professional, and it's something I'd be very keen to do a bit more of now, and hopefully have a few more.
Yeah, and he looks a great one to have started back point to pointing with as well. What's the plan with him? Will he go under rules into training now? Will he stay point to pointing? And it was also just a quick mention on Ed Vaughan. It was nice to give Ed a winner. Obviously, Tim's son, he's been going well point to pointing. He's had a great start. Tim's obviously given him a lot of support, but he's took his opportunities well, and he took another one for you yesterday.
So the plan now with Colin Hobbs, obviously the owners will sit down and see, but ultimately he'll go into training next season and go from there. I don't think he'll run again this time, as he's only just turned 4. So the fact that we could run in that race, get him experience and win was fantastic. And yes, it was great to be able to give Ed a winner as well. I watched him pony racing through as well. He rode against my daughter's pony racing. He's a very talented young man, and it was great. He thoroughly deserves all the success he's getting.
That's great. I mean, I'm sure we'll watch his progress now next season. As you say, Ed's doing really well, and he's taking all his chances he can get. It's also a great story of you actually coming back point to pointing. Started off pointing, been under rules, a massive career under rules, obviously everyone knows, and now back on the point to point scene. We hope you enjoyed your day yesterday, and we hope to see you plenty more on the point to point track.
Thank you. I certainly hope so. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got any pointers for the rest of this season, but it's something we'll certainly be doing more of going forward. And yesterday was great, another great experience, and fantastic to get back. So I've always enjoyed my pointing. Looking forward to hopefully next season having a few more.
So I've just realised at the start of the podcast, I was so excited to be back in your company that I actually forgot some of the racing that had happened. And one of those could have been, I'm not sure because I only read out 4 and 6 in the list, Horseheath, where the Ellis juggernaut rolled back into town and took 3 of the races.
Yeah, it did actually. You actually read Larkhill, Alnwick, Melbourne and Horseheath, and you forgot Cockleby and Chipley Park because that was a week before. You're getting a bit lost, I think, with this bike system. But,
I know.
It's okay. But yeah, Horseheath, we can start at Horseheath if you want now. But yeah, Ellis treble. The horses that, mainstays got beat around there the first day, and so does Artiste Dane. They've obviously come on for the run, which was nice. And they've followed up, and Tiger Bartel continued his winning streak. He won the last one at Horseheath the last time and beat Law of Gold. So that was a good performance and something they were quite impressed with, I think. He also had a winner up at Annex. That was 4 winners for Tom, which was good.
Nice.
I
feel like we haven't spoken about them much recently. Tom, Gina, if you're listening, Sam still loves you. And we will now talk about Alec. You have to watch the YouTube, guys. I know I keep telling you, but it's just funny watching Sam giggle or try not to giggle when we're talking about this stuff.
Oh, you just talk so much rubbish. I actually wanted to talk about Pennock's horse actually quickly. I thought might be a horse to follow.
Okay,
Beat Cooler Park again. Cooler Park was 3rd. All the Ammunition 2nd, which has been a nice horse. Trojan de Burley, one for Andrew Pennock, Paddy Barlow on board, won by 4 lengths, won nicely. Trojan de Burley beat Mainstage, who then won the maiden for the Ellises. To win a restricted, so I think he's maybe a horse to follow.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and another double, so treble for them, and another double of Alnwick, Kelly Morgan, even. I think we're about to see her kick into gear properly, really. She seems to have some really nice horses about, and will no doubt be getting plenty on the board this year. And right now, a jockey that we mentioned on this podcast a good while ago, Lyall Hodgins, won with a front running display on Senor Lombardi in the conditions race. Sam, how is it that you're the one who's drinking the red wine, and I sound like I have been drinking the red wine? So he won on Senor Lombardi in the conditions race, and I caught up with him earlier.
Lyall Hodgins, big congratulations on your win up at Alnwick at the weekend. Lyall, you've been on our radar for a while. Chris Dawson mentioned you a couple of years ago as a young rider coming through that's going to be very good. Just looking at your stats, you've started in 93 points, won 23 of them, which is 24%. Come second 13 times and third 13 times, which is obviously around the 50% mark. You've either won or placed, which is pretty remarkable. And I just wondered what your plan was really, whether you where you're working during the week, and what you're kind of doing in the longer term. I hope you're well, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, Lyall.
Hiya, thank you. Yeah, that horse on Sunday, he ran well. It was his first run for 680 days. since he ran at Cheltenham at the Fox Hunters a couple of years ago. So, no, he ran grand for his first run back, and hopefully he'll come on for it, and he's been fine ever since Sunday, so just move forward for there, be grand. Through the week I'm a horse dentist, sort of travel around Britain and Ireland, mainly working with racehorses, but we do all types of work as well if any customers want any other horses done as well, so it's grand. I've recently been on a trip working in Japan for 2 months, just there before the Point to Point started. So, no, just look at it. That'll be that's my main job, Monday to Friday. And then Point to Points at the weekend or through the summer. I'll be busy doing a few other little jobs here and there. So, spot on.
No, good to catch up with Lyall. He's been a good pilot up north for a long time now, and he's obviously doing really well for himself. I actually caught up with Jack Teal, who's also doing well for himself, about 20 horses in training. He had another winner with Courting Flow, winning the Restricted with Christie Furness, who we're actually going to speak to in a little while. And I had a chat with Jack about his recent winners here and Sheriff Hutton. And if you can understand him, this is what he had to say.
Jack Teal, nice to have you on Pointing Pointers. It only took 24 hours for you to get back to me. I'm sure if I wanted to have a horse with you, it would have been a lot quicker reply. But well done the last few weekends, kicking in the winners, which is great. Can you tell us a bit about the couple of winners you've had over the last few weeks?
Evening, Sam. Yeah. No, it's been a handy start, so just happy away so far. Yep. Started at Sheriff Hutton with fire in her eyes. She took me by surprise, if I'm honest, but don't mind surprises like that, even though it was a dead heat. Now she's, she did it grand. And then it was good to have Courting Flow back after a break, and he's come back, well back to himself with a nice win yesterday up in Alnwick. We'll have some fun with a pair of them too this year. Thank you very much.
Top man, brilliant. Yeah, good to get the season off to a flyer. What about, can you just tell our listeners a bit about your yard you got at home? How many you got in for the season? We've also got Christie Furness on the podcast this week. He's obviously road winner at the weekend. Can you tell us a bit more about the connection with him?
Yeah, I've yard at home there in Norton, Malton, so we're lucky. Plenty of access to plenty of good facilities. With north of 20 pointers in and going at the moment. It's a nice mixture of young horses and also horses to run throughout the season, so that's quite fun. And we're doing a few breakers and things as well on this, running along with that too. Yeah, Christie has been with us for a few years. We've had quite a nice bit of success. Love training for Christie. He's absolute gent, and we've a good bit of fun because it helps as well when he's got a nice few horses in too to run.
So yeah, last but not least, Sam, Millbourne St Andrews. We have been told by Steph that it was very busy with people, and there's some really good racing, which is good to hear. One person who will be very pleased with what went on at Millbourne St Andrews was a friend of the podcast, Nick Luck. The Luck family owned Sound of Music, came second to a form horse of Tim Vaughan's. I actually did, believe it or not, take the opportunity to catch up with Nick about it, and we'll listen to that first and then talk about the rest of it.
Hi Ben and Sam. Quick update on Sound of Music at Millbourne St Andrew. I think we ran into one in a 7-year-old and upward maiden. Oko John, Ed Vaughan. He looks good, doesn't he? And Dad Tim clearly might have trained a few winners under rules at one time or another, because it looked well revved up for the job. Anyway, couldn't be disappointed after 2.5 years off to finish second. My brother James, who's done all the hard work on it, was so pleased with it, he's taken himself off to Jamaica for a week, leaving his friend Emma to ride her out. But she's come out of the race really, really well. Touchwood legs are good. She's eaten up. She obviously had quite a tough race first time in 2.5 years, but Pete Mason, I know James was really pleased with the ride he gave her, because when the winner streaked past and opened up a break on the field. Instead of trying to chase him down, he just sat up on her a bit, just let her fill her lungs again, and then she ran on to finish second. Otherwise, she probably would have finished fourth or fifth. So it was a really sensible, clever ride, and I think everyone's well pleased with her efforts. And fingers crossed, we will land on a similar race in the not too distant future. It's just a shame there aren't any maiden races over 4 miles. On the plus side, she jumps absolutely brilliantly. So hopefully a bit of fun to be had. But a labour of love getting a homebred mare back to the track after over 2 years, a leg injury and 1 or 2 other problems. And I know from speaking to him at the time, and I was in Florida getting it relayed down the phone, that it meant more to James than just about anything else I can remember in racing. So there you go. Sometimes the little fish and all that. Anyway, more updates to follow. And don't forget, tune in Nick Luck Daily Podcast every weekday on all well-known podcast platforms.
And then rowing back, rewinding slightly, Sam, Bradley Gibbs won the maiden. You love to see it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Crocodile Lounge, son of Marla. Yeah, did it nicely. So that was good. Also, Biddick's horse won the maiden as well, owned by Tom Malone. He's a son of New Approach, which is probably a horse you don't see too often on a point-to-point course. Yeah, that was good. Harry Royal, who we spoke to on the pod, he had another winner. Scoresby won the restricted.
Good lad.
And Macklin, I hear, was extremely impressive when beating Highway Jewel, Biddick showboating. I heard. So no, that was very good. And no comment. Won the Ladies Open for the sisters, Laura and Natalie Parker, topping off a good day for Ben Jones, who had a treble under rules as well. So
yeah,
very good.
Well, we've covered an awful lot there, Sam, and let's turn our attentions now to what is coming up in the next few weeks. We've got racing at Larkhill, Garthorpe, Dunscombe Park and Charing this very weekend.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've got a Coronation Cup on the weekend at Larkhill. It should be a good race that looks very competitive, as you can imagine. Just to name a few that might be lined up: Grace of Uenki, Regatta de Blanc, 16 letters.
Aha.
Probably not time leader, I imagine, but you never know with Hannah. She has some strange plans sometimes, and she pull funny things off. Oh, Hannah. Viraflay and Espoir de Telly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a competitive contest. So, yeah, everyone get down to Larkin and watch the Coronation Cup. Prestigious race, great race. I'm sure there'll be a lot of attendees there to watch that. But the Garthorpe, good men's open at Garthorpe. Carita de Bros, one for Rosie. Fear Jaguan, maybe going there. Duncombe Park this weekend, might see Mount Muse again. Matt's commission, we'll find out whether we see him later on once we spoke to Christie Furness. And Charing, great point to point, lovely people down there, needs plenty of support.
Yeah, absolutely. And there may well be lots of other meets on before we speak again, but that covers this weekend as you are listening. And Sam, a little treat for the listeners now. We are doing our best to get around as many different people from as many different angles as possible. And we are now going to speak to Christie Furness, who has had a good, lengthy career, it's fair to say, in the saddle, and has had some notable successes. Is an owner rider and comes at the game from a slightly different angle. So we're going to chat to him now. Christie Furness, thanks for joining us on Pointing Pointers. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ben. Sam, good to see you both. I'm in good order, thanks.
Good. Now, I've never asked you this question before, so we're just going to get your real-time, honest reaction. Have you ever watched this or listened to it ever before?
I did listen to it the other day, yes, when Jon Barlow was giving his update on the Fortunes Hill winner at Sheriff, because I was quite interested to see how prepped his horse was, because I finished second in that race. So, yeah.
I see.
So basically, you skipped to the bit where Jon Barlow was, you skipped all the other rubbish, and then got to where Jon Barlow was.
I think he managed to put it on Facebook just at the moment he started speaking, so it was perfect.
Oh, perfect. That's not what you're going to say.
what you're hearing me is you've been listening for the last 4 seasons. Good man. Yeah. Listen, Christie, you've been around for a long time now. I was looking back at your stats before. Spoke to some friends from the weighing room over the years today, and you've been doing it for a good while now. When did you have your first ride pointing?
I had it in 2012. I actually had to look that up because I couldn't believe it was so long. And I thought I'd been on my 10th season for about 3 seasons. But yeah, back in 2012. So I've been doing it in various different levels of ability, probably still learning. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while now. So feel like one of the older people in the weighing room, which is quite frightening. And everyone seems to be getting younger around me, but it's still good fun.
And you've obviously rode in the Aintree Fox Hunters last year. I tipped up your horse actually, and you did me no favours by not quite sneaking into the money, but you did a lot better than most by getting round. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, I think he'll go well this year because he'll have a proper jockey on board. I think hopefully Jack Teal will be back on board. Jack was very kind to let me ride him when he'd broken his leg. So yeah, I think I'll be trying to hopefully go up there to watch him. He's a lovely horse, and he's been, won the heart last year. He's been a superstar for all the Teals, to be honest.
And he's in this weekend as well, isn't he? Do you know if he's going?
I don't know if he is going, actually. I'm not sure. I'll probably find out on Saturday, but I think he's in good form, so he could well do. I think he's run there before and likes it. Don't know whether Lewis is back from Ireland to ride him or Jack does, but yeah.
I was going to say this is Sam's way of breaking the news to you that you've been jocked off. Running at the weekend, is he? Oh, I didn't know.
Hey, that's happened to me many a times. I've had that. People say, "Oh, your horse ride yesterday." What? I wasn't even there. I didn't even know.
Well, I only had the pleasure of riding it once, and I knew I'd never ride it again, so I felt lucky enough to do that. Definitely, yeah, not my ride.
That was the first time you rode down there, was it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That must have been a hell of a spin.
It was great fun. Yeah, managed to jump the chair with no hands on the reins, which was not ideal.
Was that out of choice or?
No, not out of choice. Didn't know what was going on, but no, it was the most amazing buzz ever, and I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to do it because I never thought I would be able to.
Cool.
Well, fair enough. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself, Christie. The jungle drums are that you work in London in the week and come back largely to Northern Point to Points at the weekend and ride as many races as you possibly can, often on some owned horses, owner rider sort of situation. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So worked down in London, been down here for all that pointing period, really about 8-10 years. Worked for a bank called Pamela Gordon, and lucky enough that we've got some very racing oriented people at the top of that list.
Well, that's Rich great. Ritchie that helps.
Rich Ritchie is our CEO.
Oh wow!
So yeah, hear a lot about his horses and things like that. So a lot of friendly conversations about racing. And then our head of equities, Richard Morecambe, has a very successful flat syndicate called Chelsea Thoroughbreds. So of sort of going in the summer and seeing some of those guys. So yeah, lovely firm to work in. Hard work. But they're all interested, and it means I can get up to Yorkshire on the weekends and ride as much as I can, to be honest. Got a couple of our own horses that I'm riding, and I ride one for someone else, a nice sort of open horse. I used to ride a few sort of maidens and things like that for other people, but all the best rides were always going to the top jocks like John Dawson and Will Easterby. So I found that the best rides that I was getting were on my own, so I decided to just focus on those. It was a lot safer, and having not ridden in the week, it was much easier to do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
How do you keep your fitness going? Do you get down the gym?
Yeah, I get in the gym. I was in one of those sort of crazy spinning classes about 6 a.m. this morning with all the sort of music flying around the place. So
some crazy woman at the front shouting at you, telling you to go
absolutely
faster,
shouting at you for 45 minutes. So that's good. And then and things like that. I do have one of those, those blue sort of simulator things, the RP things, which is quite handy, but never seem to use it as much as I should. But yeah, so tend to keep pretty fit, but it's never quite the same as riding and riding fit.
Monkfish won't be coming pointing once he's finished.
I mean, I've made plenty of hints about things in the past, and I think when I think he had a horse running in Hunter Chase last year in Ireland where Charlie Mullins was on it or something. So yeah, I think I'll have to keep working a bit harder, try and do a few more deals before that's a possibility.
What nice rides have you got looking forward to this season? Is there anything in particular you're kind of setting your hopes on for this season?
Just the two of my own, two of the families really. We do it all together. My mum trains them until about a month before they run, and does a lot with them at home before they go to Jack Teal's. Courting Flow won up at Anik on the weekend. He missed last year. He's a lovely horse to ride, and it was great to have him back after a year off. So yeah, looking forward to him. And then got a horse called Camdonian who we had last year, who got out the Skelton's yard. He won a couple for us last year, but yeah, they're sort of both at intermediate conditions level, so we'll be trying to find nice races for them. And then there's got a big ride in a hunt race at Sinnington on a horse called Clondor Anchor, who is a thorough stayer, and ride him. He's chairman of the hunt, Chris Denny, so chairman of the Point to Point. Sorry, so it would be great to win the hunt race for him, but it's always a bit tricky because the Easterby clan is always also in that hunt, so it makes it quite difficult.
He's an ex-Scouting horse as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah,
amazing the amount of horses seem to come out that yard, go point to point. And Night in Dubai won at Horse Eat the other day. Bossman Fed was second, which is mad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think probably. I think that he'd been injured for a couple of years. He was a High Clear horse, and
big grey horse, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Christie, I mean, you're clearly a young man, and I don't want to call you an older statesman of the weighing room.
You've been saying he's been around for years.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just go back on yourself. This is what you do all the time.
No, Sam. If you let me finish, what I'm saying is you are an older statesman of the weighing room, and I'm keen to understand from you. In the time that you've been in pointing, what have you seen change for better and for worse?
I think there's less trainers, isn't there? There's less sort of small trainers with one horses, two horses. There's not really many hunt races left. There's not that kind of big sort of excitement about trying to win the hunt race. There is a few in Yorkshire, but a lot of places have gone down these sort of conditions routes, and I guess it's because there's more horses with a few sort of more professional trainers. But I guess in terms of the sport being around and the competitive nature of it, that's improved. The horses have certainly improved, and it's much more competitive. It's much more professional, which makes it a little bit more harder to win. But I think there's, it's still the camaraderie and things that you get in the changing room and the enjoyment that you have, I think is still the same as it was when I first started. So I don't think that's changed, but it's probably just got a little bit more professional.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess the 2 points you're saying there kind of go hand in hand, don't they? And they kind of, for better or worse, have had an effect on each other. Sam, did you ever ride against Christie?
No, I did a couple of times. And Garthorpe maybe a couple of times.
I did. Yeah, I've never been able to ride Garthorpe, and I remember I rode a very good old horse of mine called Shanty Prince, and he'd been at the intermediate final in Cheltenham, and he came and we ran him again, and he was favourite, and I just didn't really get Garthorpe, and I think I
was on a horse of David Kemp's actually, I reckon, and I had another few strides you might have had me. I think I nicked it.
I think that's right. Yeah, I just never really thought I needed to get near you before you sort of start rolling down the hill. But anyway, it's yeah, I do remember.
If you ever go back there again, you need to kick from 3 out and go like pop.
Yeah, no, I think it's got the ground's so nice there that the horses that run there at the end of the season when we might go down, that they're such a high quality level of horse, and they sort of seem to be Garthorpe specialist horses.
So it's a funny old track. Them 3 down the back, it's a funny old track. But yeah, no, we did. I remember Shanty Prince. You won 8 on him, didn't you?
Yeah, he was a great horse. He's still hunting with my mum. He's still at home.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he's sort of got me going really. And then it's amazing. He's still around, try and hunt the horses as much as I can.
That must have been a great season when he was around. Was that probably, looking at your stats, probably season 21-22, was it? He had 19 rides, 8 winners.
Yeah, that was yeah. God, that was a long time ago, actually, wasn't it? But yeah, no, we had him, and he was a superstar, and he got me a few outside rides and a few outside winners as well. So he really did get me going. And then we've had a lot of luck since then, I have to say. In the last few years, we've been very lucky. During COVID, probably a bit unlucky with Shanty Prince, who got injured at the end of his career a little bit, and we just sort of missed the races with COVID and everything like that. And then since then, at one point post-COVID, I thought I might give up, and then we've been just incredibly lucky with our family horses, and had a lot of fun, to be honest.
Well, long way to continue.
What's your most enjoyable part? What do you enjoy most about going up to Yorkshire, especially going up to Yorkshire?
No, I love going home. Yorkshire is home for me, but I love seeing everyone in the weighing room on a Saturday and Sunday. We've got a great group of jockeys, Easterby's, Dawson's, Joe Wright, Jack, Teal. I just love it, riding out with Jack on a Saturday morning and then going in to ride on a Sunday and then jumping on the train. It keeps you young and it's great fun.
I bet you guys can't get word in edge race with Will in the change room, can you?
It was very quiet at Anik on Sunday because he wasn't there, but no, we can. Luckily, we can just about keep control of him nowadays.
Good.
Well, Christie, you clearly love the game, and all power to you. Keep going for as many seasons as you can. It's great to have you around, and thanks for coming on Pointing Pointers.
Brilliant. No, thanks very much. Great to chat to you both. Have a good one.
So, Sam, that brings this week's episode to a close. There's no 2 episodes the same on this podcast, are there?
No, 1,000 voice notes there, wasn't there? But no, it's good to get around speaking to different people. Catching up with Christie, that was good. He slipped that in there when I beat him around Garthup, didn't he? He couldn't just. It was nice. I didn't want to set myself, but he brought it up. All right.
Yeah. No, you're right there, Sam. Yeah,
and
you're
if
right.
Joe Hill listens to this, he'll love this part because he always takes a mick at me about this. But there we go.
Good.
But no, it's good to catch up with him. It's great to see people like Christie in the sport, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Horses, keep on the side, and hopefully he might get maybe Lossiemouth in a few years' time.
Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice?
2.5 mile open, lovely.
So all that remains to be said is thank you to you, our listeners, for joining us again, and thank you to our partners, the PPORA and Redmills / Foran Equine Supplements, with whom, Sam, we'll be speaking to, I think, either on the next episode or the episode after that, about some equine nutrition, which will be good fun. We're going to do that in my yard, and it's not to be missed. Anyway, Sam, that's enough. Lots of love. I'll see you next time, pal.
Thank you very much. Good night.
You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast.